Alright, YouTube, I am feeling somewhat better. My fever is beginning to break, so I can, make videos. But it's really sunny and warm out, so I'm thinking I need to get some sun in a little bit. So I'll probably make one or two videos here in the morning and then leave it till the Minecraft evening or something like that. I just thought it was time to extrapolate what you see currently happening with this so-called scandal, which is, purely fake news regarding Trump. We can extrapolate that, and I'd like to deliver a little bit of a message here to other significant content creators on YouTube and elsewhere. I'm talking people like the Golden One, Ramsey Paul, talking about Sargon, Malnu, people like Ben Garrison, if they write cartoons, make YouTube videos, Black Pigeon Speaks, Razor Fist. There are a whole bunch of people, H.A. Goodman, it's all over the political spectrum. I foresee years of attacks on our credibility, too. I don't think that this just ends with, oh, Trump is scary, Trump is controlled by Russia, therefore we're going to release fairly obvious smear material against him in a blind rage because we happen to have been bested in the election. What you see now is the establishment politicians and establishment media have hyped up the concept that Trump is evil so much that people actually get bored. If they report on something that's normal, people get bored. They've turned more and more and more into clickbait. They've actually become that which they were originally trying to fight. When they realized how lucrative clickbait was, groups like CNN, MSNBC became little more than InfoWars on steroids with larger budgets. You can see it on TV. You can see it online. Now, in the past, what the legacy media especially has always done, and what the establishment politicians do now, the legacy media and political movements, is squash people out by trying to buy them up, or trying to blackmail them, or trying to censor them outright if they're unable to do one of those. Why would we think that on social media it's going to be any different? These major groups are increasingly going to weigh heavily on sites like Facebook, YouTube, and so forth, where a great deal of decentralized content is created. We see it right now with Zuckerberg, for years, I've thought that he was the eternal enemy of free speech. Now I'm not so sure, because it looks like he is trying in public. He says, yeah, we're concerned about fake news too. And then in private, he's doing very little to actually stop anything that's going on Facebook. I think he's come to the conclusion that actually a free market of ideas is good for his wallet and doesn't really want to mess up a good thing. I think that ultimately it might be the fact that the decentralized creation of content and the money that it brings keeps these sites from substantially censoring unpopular opinions, but we can't rely upon that constantly. We can't always rely upon the fact that there won't be attempts at character assassination against major content creators. If they can do it to somebody who's the president-elect, who has billions of dollars, who has literally tens of millions of people who probably would die for him, if they can do it to somebody like that and get millions of people to take it seriously, you think they can't do it to some other random person with a webcam and a microphone? I think they can. I think overt attempts at censorship, they know would backfire. If they just suddenly started taking down libertarian, alt-right, ANCAP, whatever channels, people on YouTube or elsewhere that pledge to tell the truth in some form or another. They're not part of the political establishment. They're not sucking the teats of the legacy media. If they were to try to go down the route of overt censorship, the backlash would be substantial. So I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that anyone who has even a half-assed amount of support is relatively well protected against such things. But character assassination? Yeah. If they're willing to make up phony documents, 26 or something pages, about how Trump is hiring Russian prostitutes to give golden showers to each other on hotel beds and dressing up in pajamas and watching anime porn with armies of prostitutes. What the hell, it'd be easy for them to, slowly wear down the competition, I suppose. We should be concerned about this. What I think, my suggestion, is that those of us who follow generally anti-establishment ideologies, whether they're left or right, it doesn't really matter, libertarians, actual progressives, which are few and far between, nationalists of various brands, primitivists, and so forth. We should certainly not act aggressively towards one another, because we might need to pull together to help defeat this scourge, which is fake news. Because the legacy media, it's clear, they're all neocons and neoliberals. They suck off the bankers, they suck off the corporatists, they suck off the same people that are in politics, who in turn suck off the legacy media too. It's a sucking off fest. That's what DC has become. It's what other capitals have become too. Let's not kid ourselves and think this is uniquely a problem in the United States. So they're a juggernaut. They have tens of billions of dollars at their disposal, probably hundreds of billions in assets that could be liquidated if they actually needed to. Staff numbering in the millions all over the world. They have the consent of most mainstream political movements in the world. This is the core of neoliberals and neoconservatives. They're the ones that rule, 90% of the nations on the face of the earth. Other than a few desperately impoverished nations that they just don't bother with because there's nothing they're worth bothering with, they run everything. They have the capability to go after content creators who are inconvenient for them. If they become a little bit too powerful, if they become a little bit too vocal, yeah, they probably will. So we need to watch out for that. That will be the next logical step, potentially. Now, in the past, when people warned of this, I didn't take them seriously, because I didn't see it really fomenting on a larger level. But now I'm seeing it. Now, at last, I can warn you all. Yeah, I'm seeing what people warned potentially was coming. They were wrong at the time. Alex Jones or David Icke and all these others, they were wrong at the time half a decade ago, and they're saying, oh, censorship, censorship. Well, there was none. They were able to put out their messages however they saw fit. Now, though, they're more right. We see it happening. We have a person who's going to be the next president of the United States being implicated with such obviously fraudulent documents that it could only be the result. 4chan claims that it fabricated many of these documents, fed it to BuzzFeed or something. They took it seriously, they took the bait, and they're trying to crack BuzzFeed wide open. It's possible. That's certainly possible. And if that actually turns out to be the case, it'd be hilarious, by the way. But there's also the possibility that all this stuff is literally nothing more than a smear job coming from some staffer at BuzzFeed or CNN or somewhere else who fed the material to their own news network. And that's an easy way to get around things. You think they don't have the budgets necessary to do so? Hell, they probably have the consent of parts of the intelligence community. There are probably people in the CIA or FBI or wherever that simply don't like Trump. They've actually swallowed the bait and think he really is the next Hitler. Some mid-level FBI agent, you think that they can't forge documents like this, submit them to BuzzFeed? Of course they can. Be easy for them. Apparently I could do this too. I just have to print them out, scan them again, put a few watermarks on it that look, halfway official, say, oh yeah, I've got a big story for you. Donald Trump is eating children or something like that. Meanwhile, here's how we know something truly fishy's going on. At the same time that the media is willing to report utterly unsubstantiated, utterly unproven claims that rise to the level at which the average person wouldn't even consider them possibly credible. At the same time that they're willing to report upon this as though it might be true, and some of them, they take an easy way out. They say, well, we can't verify this, but Trump is certainly one that would be into this sort of stuff, which is more of a smear job itself as well, and plausible deniability for when the story turns out to be bogus. At the same time they're doing that, they spent months deriding WikiLeaks, saying it couldn't possibly be the case that the DNC was corrupt. It couldn't possibly be the case that Podesta and other staffers didn't like Chelsea Clinton, that Hillary Clinton was taking money from foreign entities. They didn't even report on it. Here you have yellow journalism. We've seen it before. It's not unprecedented. This is like Tammany Hall era stuff. No, we're going to report everything bad about the person that we don't like. They're too honest. They're not sucking off our money, whatever it happens to be. We're going to hammer them with character assassination. Oh, we've got unverified reports that we saw Joe Schmo sucking off Chinamen in the alley behind Tammany Hall, something like that. Meanwhile, we're not going to report any of the dirt on the actual dirty candidate. We've seen it before. It's easy. It's not difficult to understand why this would happen. It's all about money. It's not about any world conspiracy. It's about money and power, and those two go hand in hand. So to all of the other significant content creators on YouTube, you've got however many fans you have. You put you talk about news, you talk about whatever you're talking about. Yeah, we may be targeted next, honestly. It wouldn't be outside of the realm of possibility. We've begun to overthrow the mainstream media anyway. You look, the story gets broken by BuzzFeed, CNN, and so forth, and they report on it as though it's magically verified with their disclaimers saying, oh, but it actually isn't, so you can't sue us, ha ha ha. Where's the real story happening? It's happening on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. It's happening among the little people, spreading news around, analyzing it, saying they either do or do not believe it, what it indicates to them. That's where the real story's happening. It's a shit fest. It's a freak show. I knew when I went to bed last night, and I didn't get that much sleep because I was still feverish, woke up in a cold sweat. The pillow was fucking soaking. You wouldn't believe it. I knew when I woke up, it would be a freak show. It'd be 10 times worse than when I went to bed. Lo and behold, it is. They're talking about the CNN is reporting on this as though it's true. Or as though it's likely true. Or as though, oh yeah, there's the possibility that this is true because intelligence agencies, they never lied to anybody. They've been lying for months now about Trump's Russia connections. I do not believe the claim. I have seen no evidence of this claim. This is so over the top. It's not evidence of anything except for the possible fabrication of these documents by somebody on 4chan. Why would I take it seriously? So people need to keep that in mind. Content creators on all platforms should be wary of the fact that they may fall under indirect censorship fairly soon in the future, especially if this phony scandal, which is what it is, continues to grow, and they keep hammering Trump like that. What if he gets impeached? What if he gets removed from office? What if he never gets a chance to really govern? What if they get enough Republicans fooled into voting in favor of that? It would plunge this country into civil war. You'll be fighting in the streets at that point. That would not be good. And that looks like what some of them are trying to maneuver towards. I don't think it's likely, but what if they pull it off? They don't even realize how dangerous this is. Those people saying Obama will declare martial law, he'll be president for a third term, that won't happen. It'd be another election. Can you imagine how socially alienated millions of people in this country would be? There'd be so much violence. There'd be so much chaos, so much confusion. There'd be a little, the soccer moms would be crying in the street and so forth. Oh, my children's future, oh. That's what would happen. So keep that in mind. There's more at stake here than just dank memes or something like that. Our memetics have begun to bleed over big time into the real world. It's propaganda. That's what we're creating. We've just gotten better at it. To the point at which the internet primarily is driving public consciousness, and not the legacy media. Legacy politicians, nobody cares what they say. Nobody trusts them. They vote for them because they happen to be incumbents. It doesn't mean that they like them, which is retarded in itself. People shouldn't be even doing that, but they do. So keep those things in mind, I suppose. That's about all. Peace out.